I don't know Tulsi Gabbard, but I know one thing. She's not an asset of Russia. These people are sick. There's something wrong with them.
All right, the president slamming Hillary Clinton over her comments about the 2020 presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard, saying that she would be an operative of the Russians, maybe as a third-party candidate. Tulsi Gabbard not too happy about that. In fact, a lot of Democrats aren't too happy about that. A.B. Stoddard joins us right now, RealClearPolitics associate editor, great journalist. A.B., there's got to be a method to this on the part of Hillary Clinton. There's got to be a strategy. You know, Team Clinton doesn't just put out accidental statements or comments, but maybe I'm assigning too much to it. What do you think?
Right. Well, the old Hillary was very calculating and calibrating, but she's desperate for relevance, and she's doing whatever she can to be at every event where she gets a speaking opportunity. She was on a podcast.
Right.
She's trying to sell books. She's trying to do a TV tour with her daughter to sell more books. She just can't get away from the spotlight, and she loves talking about President Trump and the campaign. So I think she actually did make a misstep. It's a big thing to accuse someone who served us in the armed services of treason. But she was saying, the part about the third party part, that's the quiet part out loud, because there are certainly Democrats who wonder if there's going to be a third party spoiler like there was in 2016, where Jill Stein's margin was material, and at least two of the states Donald Trump won to take the presidency. So that's one thing, but it was wildly inappropriate for her to call her a Russian asset. And I think that what's interesting is that, it delights Donald Trump to talk about Hillary Clinton, and it delighted Tulsi Gabbard because it definitely gave her a good push and a lot of attention, renewed attention to her campaign, where she wants to continue to try to, stay in the game.
She's up to 3% in the polls now, right? So that would qualify her for the next debate, technically. I know there's another side of that, but let me get your take on what Hillary Clinton is after. Many people have been looking and reading in between the tea leaves to say that maybe she is positioning herself as sort of a white knight or, something similar for the party to fall back on in the event that the leading candidates sort of, cancel each other out.
Oh, yes, no question. So the New York Times is reporting today that donors are nervous. A lot of people are nervous on the Democratic side that they don't have a great sort of perfect candidate who can beat Donald Trump. And they're looking at Warren and thinking she's a general election loser, looking at Biden, wondering if he can make it all the way to the general election. Whether or not the primary the primary voters will pick him in the primary election because they are worried they'll be more progressive. The establishment is very unhappy. But the idea that donors who don't want to obviously waste their money are panicking and thinking of calling John Kerry, Michael Bloomberg, and Hillary Clinton doesn't mean that that's what's happening on the ground, where the voters are going to these events and having these debates about the strengths of the different candidates. Hillary Clinton, loves that press. But do recall, Neil, she and her husband they were not invited to appear on anyone's behalf in the midterm elections of 2018. They are not likely to be called upon to, they'll take their dollars, but to be at any events on behalf of candidates in the next cycle. They really have to exit stage left, and it's very hard for them. That's why they went on a tour this year, trying to pack up theaters with interested parties.
But if you think about it, this angst on the part of the Clintons represents an angst on the part of moderates in the party who think that that's the only way they can take the White House back. There might be something to that, right? And they're seizing on what appears to be Biden.
Right, and that's different than let's put Hillary out
right?
again. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's no question. Biden is burning through money. He doesn't raise enough. He's having these debates where everyone talks about how, he's making word salad and he's not making sense. He has had a durable polling lead. He's now sharing frontrunner status with Elizabeth Warren. But all those concerns are real. I'm just telling you, the Democratic Party, outside a few of her donor friends, is not interested in Hillary Clinton getting back in the race.
Interesting. All right, well, watch it closely, A.B. Good catching up with you. Be well.
Thanks, Neil.